Hey guys. I should first apologize. I feel like I start all these videos like this, but don't really have a voice right now, as you can tell. I sound like a man. Um, I spent the weekend in Indio singing along to country music really loudly at Stagecoach. And it is now Thursday, and I should have my voice back, but I don't. Um, Hopefully I'll get it back soon. Anyway, my publisher asked me to do a little Q&A because we have an exciting announcement about Eternal Night. Basically, Eternal Night is currently on sale for free on I don't know how they do this because I'm pretty sure I still get paid. Um, but you can get it for free on basically every platform that an ebook is available. So like Amazon Kindle and Nook and all those different things. I'll put a link at the bottom of the video so you can do that. I know that's not that exciting for people who have already read the book, but maybe you can help me out and send it to your friends or let them know that you liked it, because the more sort of attention that this gets, the sooner we'll be able to move on to exciting new endeavors like, I don't know, hardcover copies or audiobooks or TV shows or all of those things that you guys ask me about all the time. Warner Brothers currently still has the option for the book. They just renewed it for this year, so hopefully this year we'll be able to start developing it. Obviously, I'm on originals full time, but we'll see what happens in the tiny bit of spare time that I do have to work on other projects. Anyway, so my publisher asked me to do this Q&A. I recently did a podcast with my friend David Blue. The podcast is called Out of the Blue, if you want to look it up. And he asked me why I do these Q&A things. And I told him, well, usually my publisher asks me to, but also because it makes me so nervous. And I'm really bad about being on camera. I've had to be on camera only twice for like work purposes in my life. Once was for the Vampire Diaries season 1 DVD box set, like special features, and once was for last season of the originals, the Cole web series that I did. They asked me to do an EPK, and it scares the bejesus out of me. So I'm trying to get better at it because if I'm going to keep on this career path, it's probably going to happen again in the future. So anyway, if I look like a nervous wreck, that's why. I don't know what's happening with the lighting here, but I look very tan. I'm happy about that. Okay, anyway, so here are the questions that you guys sent in on my Facebook page. Gonna try to be quick because it's Cinco de Mayo and I want some tequila. The most fun thing about the Arrow Rap Party weekend in Vancouver. The most fun thing about the Arrow Rap Party weekend in Vancouver was brunch the day after the rap party. We were a teeny bit hungover, and at first it was just me and Emily and Jarrett and Fanta, and then slowly people started texting us and joining up with us throughout the day. By the end of the day, I had switched my flights twice. My flight was originally supposed to be at noon out of Vancouver. I then switched it to 6:45, and then I switched it to 8 a.m. the next day because I just couldn't bear to leave brunch. And so many people joined us that by the time like Jared Padalecki came, which what is my life? But eventually we had to ask the group of people sitting next to us to switch tables because our group got so big that we needed their table. We paid their tab. Don't worry. We're not really jerks. Anyway, it was so fun, and I love all those people so much. The Arrow family has always been so welcoming to me. I met them all when I was a journalist, and they've let me in and made me feel like I have a little home away from home, which is lovely. How did you and Emily and Tierney become roommates? Tierney and I have lived together. Tierney Bricker is one of my best friends. She writes for E! Online. Tierney and I have lived together pretty much since she moved to LA and we became friends. We met on Twitter and we bonded over Gilmore Girls. This is our 4th house together. Emily was visiting us so much during the 2nd season of Arrow that I finally was like, okay, we need a 3rd bedroom and you need to pay rent, because we were sharing a bed just a little more often than adults should. Anyway, this is our second place, the three of us together, and we really like living together. Emily is a very good roommate, partly because she's hardly ever here, and partly because when she is here, she leaves little flower bouquets on my nightstand, which I love. Where would you, if you could travel anywhere, where would you travel? I've never been to Italy, and I'd really like to do that. But if I could, like, pack my bags today, I think I'd go to, like, a really expensive resort on a tropical island and just let people buy me drinks all day, bring me drinks all day. I'm a little run down from a lot of traveling and a lot of country music and a lot of life drama. And exploring Italy sounds exhausting right now. So I want a lounge chair is what I want. What are you doing with your hiatus? Hiatus is almost over. It's weird because yesterday I finished up my last bit of work on season 3 of the originals, which is the mix, which is where you go and you watch the episode on a big screen and you perfect things like, oh, those footsteps sounded weird, or maybe we should hear more of what's going on outside here, things like that. Little tiny tweaks right before the episode airs. So hiatus technically just started for me, and it's over in 2 weeks. But I've traveled a bunch. I've written a lot. I've spent a lot of time with friends. I just got back from Stagecoach. But mostly I've been writing. I've got some pilot ideas that I'm kicking around. And I, last hiatus, wrote a book. And this year decided that I needed to revise the entire second half of it and make it end differently. So I've been working on that. Next week I'm going to go on a little road trip in a few days with a friend and write some music. And then got some more traveling happening, but the 23rd is when we go back to work on season 4. So the clock is ticking. What's your favorite episode of Dawson's Creek? I assume you like it because of my dog's name is Pacey. So yes, I like Dawson's Creek. I don't know. Pacey! I don't know where he is. I think he's outside. My favorite episode of Dawson's Creek is probably the 3rd season finale called True Love Has Everything. Has Pacey writing "Ask Me to Stay" on a wall for Joey, and Dawson crying on a dock, and Pacey tricking Joey into buying him milk because he's thirsty. Who drinks milk when they're thirsty? I don't know. My other favorite episode, which is kind of embarrassing because it's definitely a guilty pleasure episode, is Castaways, which is the one in season 6 where Pacey and Joey are stuck in a Kmart for the entire episode. They're the only people in that episode, and it's like a shipper's dream. If you come in my room and you find me watching that episode, it means I've had a rough week and I need like the television equivalent of a bucket of macaroni and cheese. Still on theme for the WB, the next question is, are you Team Jess or Team Dean? And I am Team Dean, always. Because he was tall and Jess was rude to her mom, and I can't ever forgive Jess for being rude to her mom. Also, I love Jared Padalecki, and I will love Jared Padalecki until I die, basically. What are you most looking forward to on the Gilmore Girls reboot? Jared Padalecki. I'm just kidding. Honestly, I'm trying not to think about it too much and like trying to manage my expectations because there are so many spoilers out there, and I wasn't madly crazy in love with the Veronica Mars movie. Don't tell anyone. So I'm hoping to just enjoy this for what it is. I'm really hoping that they don't make a thing of love triangles and who's Rory going to end up with and stuff like that. I don't think that's what the show's about for me. So that would be my hope. How does the Vampire Diaries timeline affect the originals? It doesn't, actually. The Vampire Diaries team made a decision to tell a story this year that was very much a 3-year story about with a lot of sort of time jumps and flashbacks and flash forwards and exploring over the course, the way that the characters change over the course of 3 years. Our story, on the other hand, was very much a story about 1 year. We said at the beginning that there was this prophecy that was expected to come to fruition by the end of 1 year. So we've just been operating a little bit on different planes, and luckily we've had a couple of moments where things seem to line up and make sense for us to tell similar stories, but we never like got a mandate or anything that was like, oh, you have to do a 3-year thing and you have to, to match up. That's what we talk about when we talk about things feeling organic. If it works for both shows, great. But nobody's going to change a 1-year story into a 3-year story just because that's what they're doing over there. We're not going to force our stories to align if it doesn't make sense for us. Any new book recommendations? Yes. I've been reading. There are LGBT themes in the book that I'm writing right now, and so lately I've read a lot of YA novels about gay and bisexual characters. I have some of them here. I'm sorry that I'm like sniffling. I dust in my nose from the desert. This one's Cut Both Ways by Carrie Mesrobian, about a guy who, a teenage kid who has a girlfriend and starts to find himself falling for his best friend. Really, really well written. This one is called We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. Really cool premise about a kid who, this sounds weirder than it is, but don't let it scare you away. You should really read this book. A kid who, because he's been abducted by aliens a few times, has the opportunity to stop the end of the world, and he's trying to decide if he should or if he shouldn't. It's a really good book. And then this one is a sort of an all-time favorite. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. It's about two best friends in Texas in, I think it's 87, late 80s, discovering themselves and each other. If you're into audiobooks, I'm generally not, but I loved this audiobook. It's read by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the star and creator of Hamilton, which, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm currently obsessed with. But he gives a really good read and does really good voices, and there's just so much heart in the way he reads it. So if you're an audiobook person, that's a good way to tackle this one. Anyway, those are the ones that I read lately that I loved. Otherwise, The Luckiest Girl Alive, which everyone's reading right now, was fantastic. Oh, and did I love the new Emily Giffin book? I love the new Emily Giffin book. So I am lucky enough that Emily Giffin and I follow each other on Twitter, which is very exciting. And I saw that she had a new book coming out called First Comes Love, and I not so slyly and totally shamelessly tweeted that I really wanted to read an early copy, and she sent me one. It's fantastic. I usually read her books for the romance. This one, the romance didn't get me as much as her books usually do with the romance side, but that's also possibly because I'm like super single and a little bit bitter right now. I'm fine. But the romance didn't get me all fluttery, but the relationships between the sisters and the family aspect of it and the friendships really I loved. So yeah, highly recommend it. First Comes Love by Emily Giffin. Okay. Then there are a lot of originals questions, and also Vampire Diaries questions about episodes that I did not write. So I'm going to pass on those questions out of respect to my fellow writers. Also because sometimes little details about spells and stuff like that really live in the brain of the writer who put those details on a page. And so I'm not going to try to explain why there was a tornado fire or whatever, because those decisions didn't happen in my brain. I also have a tendency to get things confused and to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. And then it appears on blogs, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, okay, the next question is interesting. I'm going to see if I can properly... It's by Hanneke Hofstee. Hanneke, that's a beautiful name if I'm saying it properly. How do you prefer to write a TV show? Organically changing the plot, giving opportunities to fans to interfere with certain wishes vented on social media, or all elements of the story carefully prepared, solely written with co-editors? I've only worked on the originals, and we basically completely write the latter way. We read social media, we hear you guys, but we've never changed our course based on fan noise or anything like that. So I don't know any other way. I can't imagine any other way. Perhaps a choose your own adventure show would work. I can't imagine how. But yeah, we tell our story. We're really proud of our story, and we hope that you guys are along for the ride. And if you're not, that's cool too. I think people should watch TV for fun and not for pain. So if TV makes you feel pain, I think you should turn it off. Anyway, next question is about an Eternal Night audiobook. I don't know what's happening with sort of the next things. I had kind of hoped we'd have a hardcover by now. Kind of surprised we don't. I don't know about the audiobook, but hopefully if we sell enough copies, free copies, tell your friends, that little push will help move us along to sort of the next phase of book stuff, I guess. I don't know. Am I going to go to the City of Heroes Convention in Birmingham with Emily and Natalia? I'm still thinking about it. I'm not working, so I could go, and I've never been to Birmingham, which might be fun. But Emily and I are traveling together a little bit after Birmingham, so I might use that weekend to finish up some writing projects before our adventure. Also, I'm currently very mad at Natalia because she's in Paris and she keeps Instagramming pictures of escargot and fries, and I'm really jealous, and I don't even want to look at her right now. I'm kidding. Okay. What's your writing ritual? My writing ritual changes. My house has to be clean. If my house is not clean and I can't bring myself to clean it, then I have to go into my office and write, which I haven't been able to do over this hiatus because I currently don't have an office in the originals Vampires world. My old office was on the Vampire Diaries side, and they're finally making me move to the original side to be closer to, my own team, which is fair, to be fair. So yeah, clean my house, a lot of coffee, and I also tend to write with like Raisinets or M&Ms or something. Like, it's so embarrassing, but I lived in one of those houses growing up where it was like, clean your room and you get dessert, or like, be nice to your sister or you don't get dessert. And so in my brain, sweet things are how I reward myself, which, thanks, Mom. I could have used that, like, a different perspective like 40 pounds ago. But yeah, that's kind of, I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to power through this scene, and after that I get a Raisinette. Isn't that sad? I'm an adult. If I were to write an episode of Arrow, what would I write? If I were to write an episode of Arrow, it would be terrible because I don't know anything about comic books. I don't care about fighting. I don't care about flashbacks. I'd just like trap everyone in the lair for an episode. Like, the door would lock and no one would be able to get it open, and I'd make them play Truth or Dare, and Roy would be there, and I would have them do a seance so that Laurel would be there too, because I love Katie Cassidy. And I think she's just like the sweetest, most hilarious, fun person, and I would want to work with her. My favorite place to go on holiday is my family's hotel in Nevis. My grandfather, in 1987, I think, bought a plot of land on the island of Nevis in the West Indies, and decided to build a hotel there. And our family had never been in the hotel business before. We are now, but we weren't before. And it's my favorite place in the whole wide world. The hotel opened in 1989. I've been going there every year or twice a year since then. It's where all my family reunions are, and it's a beautiful place. It's not really like a party scene. Like, if you're looking for loud music and like hooking up, that's not the place to go on vacation. But if you're looking for really quiet, beautiful views, drinks, time to read, that's the spot to go. It's called the Mount Nevis Hotel. You can look it up. I'm going to go back, I think, around Thanksgiving. Now that I'm obsessed with Hamilton, I want to go back to the island and do the sort of Alexander Hamilton tour, because that's where he was born. And I've done it before, but didn't care much before. And next question is, am I going to write any blog posts over this hiatus? I don't think so. I'm not really in a blogging mood lately. I haven't really figured out what I want my blog to be about, because all the blogs that I read are about like home decor and fashion and makeup, and obviously that is not my forte. Home decor, kind of. I do decorating on a budget is something I can do for sure, but I don't think that's what people want to read on my blog. And the one thing that I do think I would want to use it for right now is stuff like, there's a bit of an outcry right now on Twitter because a couple of female characters on our show died, and that's sort of part of a bigger conversation because a lot of female characters on the CW died this season, and a lot of female characters on TV died this season, and I think there's a really interesting conversation happening about women, their relation to men, and their value on television, and I don't think Twitter is the best place to have those conversations because I just feel like I keep getting sort of misconstrued or misinterpreted because I'm trying to fit things into 140 characters that don't have any business being 140 characters. That's what I would use the blog for, except that I also don't really want to do that because it scares me that then a larger blog post would get misinterpreted. So, long story short, probably not going to be doing much blogging. And the next question is, do you read your old recaps? So for those of you who don't know, I started recapping the Vampire Diaries after its second episode. I first recapped them for the LA Times and then later on for Zap To It. And that's how I sort of caught the eye of Julie and Kevin Williamson and Bob Levy, was because they liked those recaps and then they liked my tweets and then we became friends, which led me here. I don't reread them, mostly because the formatting is kind of weird on all of them now, because all the sites have like changed their platforms. So that's annoying, but also they're kind of embarrassing now that I actually know reasons for what's done and what goes on behind the scenes and how hard it is to fit everything you want to fit into 42 minutes. And I think I was a bit of a know-it-all, and I thought I knew a lot more about television than I actually did when I was writing those reviews. So I'm very happy that Julie and Kevin didn't hate me for them, but they're a little embarrassing for me to read now, knowing what I know behind the scenes. And that's the last question, guys. I'm sorry that my voice has been steadily declining. I'm going to go see if tequila will heal that because it's Cinco de Mayo. I hope you all have a great week. My next episode of The Originals airs tomorrow. So that would be Friday what day is it? Friday, May 5th, or May 6th. Wow, Cinco de Mayo. Of course tomorrow's the 6th. Jesus, Carina. Airs at 9 on the CW, Friday, May 6th. I'm really proud of this episode. I wrote it with Chris Hollier, who is the patron saint of patience, because I was not easy to work with on this particular episode. But he did, and he's a fantastic writer, and I had a great time writing it. And I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of the actors' performances. I think we got to showcase some of our actors who maybe tend to take a back seat. People like Charles and Riley and Danielle Campbell got to really show what they can do. So I'm super, super excited for you guys to see it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening and reading. Buy the book for free. Bye.